incredible, amazing, intelligent, lovely wife, Amanda Robbins. Nice to have you.
I love you. Thank you.
Today, we're talking about something that's really, really important. I saw some statistics that came through that absolutely caught my attention, and specifically around financial resilience. I feel like so many people just went through this a little while ago and kind of finally got into a good place, and then with interest rates rising and jobs being cut, and the economy tightening, I feel like people are landing up right back in a similar but different situation of finances constricting. And so here's some of the stats I read. 43% of US small businesses struggled to pay rent on time in April. 26,000 retail stores have shut down so far in 2024 alone. 100 million Americans fall into the Alice category, where they're struggling. And then another 38 million are living below the poverty line. And I saw that, and it really caught my attention, and specifically the concept of how can we help? How can we help in a time like this? And the number one thing that makes the biggest difference I'll start with you. What would you say the number one thing that makes the biggest difference is?
In what?
So someone's in a pinch. Yeah. They're one of these businesses that couldn't pay their rent on time in April, or they had to shut down a location of their business, or they're not able to hit the numbers they were. Let's say they were growing like crazy, and all of a sudden their business is now flat.
Yeah.
And what's the first thing these people should really focus on if they were going to regain momentum, if they're going to get back on track, if they're going to get moving in the right direction?
I think one of the first things that people think about typically is tightening their wallets and spending less, right? Which is fair. Like if you are overextending yourself and buying a lot of luxury things that aren't necessities, right? Like that's fair. That's smart. I personally, I try to always be mindful of expenses, but I think one of the most powerful things I really try to lean into is figuring out what do people need? What does serve your country, culture, the greater good right now? Like what is needed? Because people will always be spending money and consuming, but is what you're offering something that they actually need and are willing to buy or invest in, right? I don't know if that's where you're going with that, but
but I like it.
A business owner, it's important to be mindful of like, what's the market need? What's the demand, right? Find the gap and fill it. So I think that from a business perspective, it is like a constant, mindfulness of when you might need to pivot or transform your business in a way that is still serving a need that the market has, right? And so that's on that side. On a individual.
Hold on. There's a piece. Your brilliance is in strategy, and so you brought this straight into strategically. What can we do? I'm going to elevate us real quick and say I truthfully, in all honesty, believe, and I can tell you from experience, that the number one thing that's going to make the difference between someone surviving, thriving, or completely falling out and losing their things.
Mindset.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Well,
absolutely difference. And so if we start with mindset, just to frame this properly, and then we'll get into tactics, because people are like, great, well, I can have all the mindset in the world, but if I'm not doing the right stuff, I can still get screwed. And so with the mindset piece, I'm watching people's mindsets. I posted something on Facebook yesterday, and I said, who has a business that was going extremely well and is completely flatlined or dropped off? And I said, what changed? And what changed was they started telling me, well, there seems to be less people visiting, or I'm just a small 3-location operation. And so, we weren't big at all. And then one thing changed and now we're kind of slow. But then he said the most important part, I feel like I've lost my drive to do it. And then
Mm.
another person said, what happened to your business? Well, everything was going great and all these people pivoted and I didn't pivot and they went and made millions. And I feel like, and listen, I feel like I got left behind.
Mm.
So I'm listening to these people because they're all telling me the same story. And I asked for a very specific situation. The situation was it was going well before and it's fallen off, either fallen straight off a cliff or it's starting to decline.
Yeah.
All three times, it was not a tactical problem.
Yeah.
It was, I felt like I got left behind. I don't feel like I have the motivation to do this. And I forget what the third one was, but all three times it was psychology.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, another one. I have a client I've worked with for years, and this guy literally sold a company for over $1 billion in his past. And he said, I'm maxing out. I'm running 2 businesses. I need to find some help. I'm 62. And here's the phrase. I feel like I'm running out of time.
Mm.
And I was like, oh my gosh. There's research that shows when someone feels like they're running out of time or late or behind schedule, that they'll actually do things they know are the right thing to do. Like stop hold on, I'll tell you the story. This is crazy. So at Harvard Seminary School, where people are going to school to become a pastor or a priest, to do church sermons,
Mm-hmm.
and they're given a task. The task is to go across campus to the church and give a speech on the Good Samaritan story, where the person stops to help someone in need.
Mm-hmm.
And then they create different groups. The first group, they say, just head on over, you're right on time, and go give the speech.
Yeah.
The second group, they say, head on over, but you're running late, so hurry up. That's it. Group number 1, on time, everything's good. They're walking across campus. They see someone in help. They have someone on the stairs going, oh, I need help. The person stops and helps them every time.
Mm-hmm.
The next group, they said, you're running late. You're behind schedule. The person who's going to give a speech on stopping to help someone in need literally steps over the person who's saying, oh, I need help, to go give a speech about stopping to help people.
Yeah.
And the only thing they changed was told them, you're late. You're behind schedule. Hurry up. And so the number one thing you can switch in your psychology is get rid of the story that you're late, you're behind schedule, you don't have enough time. That is screwing your performance, absolutely taking you out of the game before you even got started. I'll give you another psychological piece. I was talking to someone about performance, and we were talking about what they were doing. And I said, any great sports athlete will watch their footage. After they compete, they'll review what happened and find little things they can do better.
Yeah.
And he said, great. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show up. I'm going to give my best this week. I'm really going to give my all. And at the end of the week, I guess I'll just watch the footage and find out what went wrong and why I didn't get what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what the hell did you just say? And he said, well, at the end of the week, I'll just kind of review and figure out, why it didn't work. I was like, you haven't even started yet. And you've already psychologically decided this week isn't going to work. And you're going to review tape at the end of the week to find out why it didn't work.
Right.
That's your plan? And he was like, wow, when you say it that way, it doesn't sound very good, does it? Like, no. You just told me you're going to go to the Olympics. You're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll just review the footage afterwards and find out why you lost. Do you think you even have a chance at winning? And he's like, well, shoot, I need to work on my mindset. I said, no shit. And so this concept of it really starts in the mind. And when you say that, most people think of it as a soft skill. But I can tell you, I've done this with people and helped them go raise, $250+ million because psychologically they didn't think they had what it takes, or psychologically they thought that was too much money, or psychologically they didn't think they were the right person, or psychologically they told themselves a story. They don't know who has the right people. It was all a story. That's if there's a big little asterisk here. If they have the skill set already, it's just a psychological shift. And so I'd ask you, do you actually have the skill set for what you're trying to accomplish? If you do, if you're like, yeah, I'm skilled at this. I know technically how to do it. I know how to say, welcome to our store. Come on in. Can I help you with anything? Would you like 2 of those? I know how to do retail. I know
Mhm.
how to invite a client to come and work with me. I know how to raise the money. I know how to run the business. If you know how, 90% of the time it's going to be psychology. Now, where my wife started, though, to adjust the conversation, let's say your psychology is dialed in. And so, real quick, if you're watching this live or the recording, because we'll have that up in a little bit here too, and you need help psychology wise, all I need you to do is in big capital letters in the comment box, write psychology. And I'll reach out to you after this and give you a few tips of what you can do to dial in your psychology, to get your mindset right. So if you need help with mindset or psychology, all I need you to do in the chat box is write in big capital letters psychology. I'll go through the comments. I'll reach back out to you. If you're on Instagram, you're going to need to DM me because this is not going to stay up for me. So if you're watching live on Instagram, I'm just looking over here because that's where all my Instagram people are. I need you to actually send me a direct message that just says the word psychology. I'll reach out to you and help you dial that in. If you're on any other platform, you can just write it in the comment section. I'll see it pop up on our screen here, and I'll reach out to you afterwards, help you dial in your psychology. Number 2, so if your psychology is dialed in, and I think it's Andrew I just saw pop in. No problem. I got you. Please DM me and I'll reach out to you. So if your psychology needs help getting dialed in, start with that. Category number 2. So your psychology, let's say, is dialed in. You have an unstoppable mindset. You know how to do the work. You've got your future vision. You got your affirmations. You are totally locked in. You know exactly who you are and what you're doing. Now we're going to go from psychology to skills to strategy. And this is where my wife is absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. She is a strategist at heart. Her skill set is strategy. I can challenge most everyone on earth when it comes to mindset and getting people dialed in there. Strategically speaking, she's absolutely a wizard. And I'm always in awe of watching her do the strategic work with people. And she's brilliant at this. And so when it comes to strategy, you can have all the mindset in the world, but if you're running, east looking for the sunset, you just got a shitty strategy. It's not there. It ain't going to work. And so strategically speaking, where my wife started here is the concept of there's certain things if you're doing strategically that will absolutely take you out of the game financially. And so some of those things you mentioned to start with was overspending. I don't care how much money you make. It's not how much you make. It's how much you keep and what you do with it. I've talked to people over the last few days who, again, hit big financial bumps. And these guys are making over 7 figures a month in personal take-home income, not business revenue, like personal income, over $1 million a month. And they were in financially a hard spot. Like, you're making $1 million a month. How are you in a hard spot? And this came down to strategy. They were doing the biggest mistake anyone makes when they screw stuff up, which was they were spending more than they were making. It sounds so simple, and people think, oh, I would never do that if I made $1 million a month. Bullshit. I just talked to 3 people this weekend who were all overspending. And I was like, okay, that is a bad strategy. You need to make sure you cut back your expenses and drive a little revenue. It sounds overly simplistic, but trust me, when you get into a rhythm where you're used to spending your $1 million every month because your lifestyle and your staff and your houses and team and cars and all this stuff, it's hard. It's like, well, shit, I don't want to do without my chef, or I don't want to do without that other house, or I don't want to sell that thing. But if we were to make it more relatable for most people, for some people, they're like, hey, that's a choice between groceries or rent. Like, that sucks. And I hope you're not in that position. Or if you are, I know that sucks. I've certainly had moments where I've had to choose. I remember when I was really young, I just saw another stat that people are rating their 401ks right now. They're saying, screw the penalty fees, I'll pay it. And they're just emptying their excess savings just to survive. And so, strategically speaking, this is something where my wife grew up in a challenging circumstance, but strategically speaking, you built your way out of that. Um, I don't know how much you're willing to share. If someone's in that position where they're having to choose between one necessity or the other, and they're trying to figure out how to get out, what are like one or two or three strategic things they could do to get themselves moving?
So one thing that's really, I just want to go back a little bit. I'll go into this. What should people do strategically to get moving?
Hmm.
Building off of the mindset piece, though, when you shared those stats, it's nice. Like, first of all, my immediate question was like, wow, that's pretty like doomsday-ish. Like, that's really like, that creates a sense of scarcity and
Yeah.
fear.
Yep.
And I will not subscribe to that. Like, that's,
Yep.
thank you for your opinion or point of view, or, and even if it's facts, you're like, thank you for the facts. My
Yep.
question is, what's going good? What's going right? Who is crushing it right now? Right. And
There you
so
go.
that's one thing that's really, really empowering and important to take in consideration is that that's just a part of the story, right? And that happens to be a scarcity and fearful narrative. So I want to know who's winning, what's going right, what's possible, what's the opportunity here. There's someone that says never let a crisis go to waste, right? Or something like that. And at first I was like, well, that seems like you could be like, well, that's exploiting, right? But also like, no, truly, like right now it's like, oh, businesses are struggling. Well, there's this, whether it's, why is it, what is going on here? Give me more context and look for the opportunity is there. Now, going into strategy around with, if things aren't going right, again, my first thing isn't like, what do we cut back? Because that's also going, oh, like it's kind of dropping into that fear versus what's possible. And so I really want to highlight that too. Like, yes, cutting back is sometimes the answer. And
Sure.
for me, like people do things out of inspiration or desperation, right? So the idea is like personally, like a little bit of pressure for me personally has helped me perform. So it's like, whoo, it's getting a little tight here. Now I could cut back. That's the easy option. And sometimes, yes, that's important just to be like, not wasteful. Like, are the things that you're spending actually providing good return? Are they like, are these luxuries or necessities? Like, what's the value that it brings into your life, right? And so some things, yes, cut back, but in other ways, I'm like, okay, I need to think smarter in the ways that I bring in revenue or income or whatever that may be, instead of just cutting back, because that still didn't change the faucet if the faucet is starting to drip, right? It's like, so that part is really important. If the faucet is dripping, how do we fix the faucet? Not just go, okay, I need less plants to water, or I need to drink less water. Like that's not going to work. And so I do like to go into like more of an abundant opportunity. What's the potential or possibility here? And with that, I think one thing that I see people do is they let their ego get in the way and they're not willing to do some things because their ego is like, I won't take that job. I'm not. And it's like so much pride and ego. Truthfully, I have seen this and I still see it today where someone is struggling and they're like, I don't want to do I wouldn't work for a company like that. I don't want to work in that industry anymore. Like that's fair, except that you're having trouble paying the bills right now. Like, and so one thing that I've really that's really served me well in figuring it out and making an income and doing really well for myself, like before we even met, was going, I'm not above taking a job like that. I think that we can truly learn from every single thing. And what I've seen it as, like, whether it was working at a Denny's, like in high school or whatever it was, like, or it was taking like working at a restaurant in college, whatever it was, I was still leveraging my other time with things that would help me build a skill set that I needed or get the job that I eventually wanted. But in the meantime, there was a job I was willing to take and I only saw it as this is a stepping stone and it's just for now to get me to where I want to go. It's helping bridge the gap. It's not forever. And I think that some people are either unwilling or not used to change. And so they see like, if I'm taking that job, I'm stuck there. And I've always been a huge advocate of being very mindful of how you spend those minutes of your day. If you're wasting minutes of your day that isn't building your skill set to do the thing you actually dream of doing, that you really want to do, then that's what's actually costing you the most money right there, is how you're spending your time. But if you need to, say, for example, like, and again, I'm not saying like take a job that goes against your values. Like if it doesn't align with your, like I'm thinking like, don't.
Listen, I was wondering why you were taking pictures of my feet the other day, but it makes sense now.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying like go out there and start like.
I get it. I'm joking. There's a piece
so
though
full
that's
of yourself that's like, I'm not willing to go. Like if I had to go serve tables,
Can I
right now,
repackage it real quick?
like work, like if I had to go take like, I don't know, like
I get it. Stop. Let me repackage this. There's a phrase we use which is called getting scrappy. Getting scrappy is a way to bridge the gap. What does that mean? When you're trying to bridge the gap, let's say you have a $4,000 gap, and you can say, well, hey, I sell specialty products. My products are super luxury. My products never sell below the luxury price. I'm a premium service. I'm a premium whatever, and I never drop this. Well, you might not drop the front end price because that doesn't represent your brand well. But here's what you could do. Hey, there's someone who comes in and they order my products, and they order every single month for the last 10 years. So I know they use it. I know they like it. I count on them ordering. I have a $4,000 bridged across right now. It's an immediate need. And make sure that you don't take an immediate need that's going to kill your future. So I still have cash flow. I still have other things coming, but right now I have a bridge. I'm going to get scrappy. I'm going to call this person up and say, listen, I'm so grateful that you've ordered from us consistently. I'm so grateful for your business. I'm so grateful that you reach out. You're always working with us. I really appreciate you. I'd love to offer you something. Would you be willing to buy the next 6 months if I give you 8 months of product if you pay it all up front? And it's like, oh, you're willing to give 2 months away for free in return for a 6-month payment that might cover your $4,000 bridge. I call that getting scrappy. You're willing to do something outside of the norm instead of the ego taking place saying, hey, we don't discount. I would never do that. I'm not telling you to discount either. But could you package it up in a different way and offer it to a few of your best and favorite and most amazing clients to bridge a gap? And that gap is really simple. We're being scrappy, being a little scrappy. We're going outside of the box. We're doing something a little irregular for how we'd normally run our business. We're dropping the ego to the curb and saying, I have a bridge to get across. I have a gap I need to fill here. I'm going to get a little scrappy. I'm going to figure out how to repackage the offer in a way that gets us across the bridge. And for some people at a base level, that might be the difference between having groceries and rent in the next upcoming months. For people who just hit a flat or their revenue's down a bit and their margin's a little tight, that might be your margin booster, where all of a sudden, boom, you have your margin. You start hitting rent, you're good. Now, for the people who are peaking, the people who are absolutely crushing it, shit, that might help who have your best month in business. Where all of a sudden you repackage some things, you reach out to your best buyers, you put a piece like that in place, and boom. We had a client who tomorrow we're going to start what we do. We do six week sprints in our business accelerator. It's one of my favorite things because we're very competitive. We get all hyped up. We set our targets, and then we all compete for, can we have a best 6 weeks ever? And we found that 6 weeks is long enough that you can really move the needle, but short enough that you can't just lollygag and dick around. Like, you really have to show up and do the work. And so the best result we've had so far is one of our clients in Nashville. They put up a $700,000 cash collected 6 weeks. It's almost $100,000 a week of sales. I was like, that was epic. And then we have other clients who do a lot more than that, but they don't usually participate in the 6 week sprint with us. And so the ones who participated so far, 700,000 in 6 weeks has been the winner. And I love that process because it allows us to figure out what strategically could we do that allowed them to do the best they've ever done in 6 weeks. Again, in the middle, that might be increasing our margin and getting our revenue back up so we don't have to let go of any of our team members right now and help people keep their job. At the bottom, that might be shit. I can now afford groceries and rent this month, which is a big deal if you're in that moment of your life. Keep going, love. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that repackaging of the concept, and the repackaging is get scrappy. So one of the lessons you can do here, like you were saying, where's the opportunity? What's working? Am I coming from inspiration or desperation? Get your ego out of the way. Be willing to get a little scrappy and figure out how can we bridge that gap.
I think like one thing that we talked about at a client's retreat recently was getting out of your comfort zone. And there is that growth area. And I think a lot of people are they don't even realize they're doing it, but they're not even stretching themselves beyond their comfort zone, which is why they're having trouble and things are contracting, because we have to get scrappy or get creative. And sometimes that change and that uncertainty is exactly the growth that's needed to happen. So no, you can take it back over. I think I was going more on like an individual level, but I think a lot of this conversation, and I love the 6-week sprint so much. We're actually doing that with some coaches inside of PCU as well. And I think that I love that this is such a great topic for business owners. I wasn't sure if that was the direction you wanted to go, because our business accelerator totally serves in that category of, if you're a business owner that is, feeling a little bit of that strain, or you just honestly want to be surrounded by really smart and savvy business owners. I love this group so much. And they do exactly that. They support each other, they challenge each other, and they celebrate the wins. And we help strategize when something's not working out and get them back up and going again. So that's a phenomenal group. And you're doing a phenomenal job with that group of business owners. So I would definitely extend that invitation on this specific topic, like financial resilience. Like, let's go.
I'll do something crazy. I've never done this before, specifically with this group. If you own a small business and you're on one of these lives and you DM me and want to be our guest tomorrow to come in and just participate in the framework of setting your 6-week sprint, you can come as our guest just to check it out. And if it's a good fit, you're welcome to enroll and stay. It's $1,000 a month to be in the group. But if you just want to be our guest for tomorrow to nail down a 6-week sprint and put that in place, just send me a direct message on whatever platform, and I'll give you a link to come and join us. You're welcome to check it out and get in that environment where we're competitive and hyped up and excited. It's an intimate group of people, but it's one of my favorite groups because it's a bunch of people who represent all kinds of businesses, service businesses, machinery and manufacturing, retail shops. Like, we have all types of businesses represented, but it's a chance for all of us to get a little competitive and really push ourselves to see what we can do over a 6-week period of time. And it's fun. We enjoy the process. So the other piece is, for those who need help with psychology, there's a few options. I'm personally, for the first time in a while, I have not done this in about 2 years. I think 1.5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, I wound down all my personal clients because I went and took on a project where I was the president and chief strategy officer of Success Enterprises. I helped take that over, rebuild a department, grew it by 300% in 12 months, got it profitable, growing, everything was great. I wrapped up with that about 1 year ago as of 2 days from now. And I'm taking on 3 personal clients, one-on-one. And so all the other work I do right now is in group settings. If you want to work with me, it's all in group. But I have space for 3 personal clients. So if anyone on here wants to work personally together, I think I have 3 or 4 people who already filled out the application this weekend when I messaged them and said I'm open for some clients. So I'm going to do some intro calls just to see who's the best fit, and then take on 3 personal clients. And the things I specialize in is helping avoid heart attacks, divorces, and bankruptcies. So people in their 30s and 40s and 50s who are extremely driven, they're trying to be the best in the world at what they do. They're focused usually on growing a business, having a great relationship and family, and trying to be the healthiest, strongest version of themselves. Generally, the things they are challenged with is figuring out how to be all in on their business and not end up getting a divorce or having a heart attack. And so I look at those things and I figured out how to put the right rhythms in place, the right tools that we use to measure. We have tools that can measure your brain waves every morning to make sure you're able to stay focused throughout the day. We can measure your stress throughout the day, give you techniques to lower the stress and become more mentally, emotionally resilient. We have the little things we can do to make you the best version of yourself. And then we also know the strategy of how to actually fix your business and optimize it in a way that it really goes. The best result we've had in our business program, we've helped a woman-owned consulting firm grow 2,600% over the last 3 years working with them. They're phenomenal. They've won the Forbes fastest company, fastest growing companies in their region, in the country. They're dominating their space in what they do. We're extremely proud of them. And so we have the ability to both optimize you as a person and optimize your business. So if you're a business owner, you want to work personally, send me a DM. I'll reach out. We'll see if it's a good fit. And I haven't done that in a couple of years. So I'm excited to dive in with one-on-one with a few people and really help them level up. The other thing you can do, if psychology is a piece that you want help with, we have lots of tools from a book. I'd be happy to give you a copy of our book, to an online training program, to our Core 4 community, which is one of my favorites, where it's a whole group of people from all around the world. We have a lot of countries represented who show up and we all work together. One of our hashtags is "We All Rise Together." So it's a community effort that we're working on supporting each other, challenging each other, and really finding a way to all level up in our health, wealth, relationships. The other piece, for those of you who are doing well, like you feel like you're really crushing it, like you're absolutely at your best, but you have a servant's heart. You have a heart that wants to serve and help others, who wants to help others navigate through challenging times. And you've been through it. You have that heart with the right intention. Definitely check out with my wife, Performance Coach University. We train some of the best coaches on earth. We're ICF and BCC accredited, which is the gold standard in the coaching space. Please come check that out. Apply to Performance Coach University. And we'd love to have more coaches on our staff to help people navigate challenging times like this. Okay, that was a brief commercial because this is all brought to you by our amazing business. Circling back, strategically speaking, if I can start with a couple steps people can take immediately, and I would just give yourself a quick financial test. And when I say financial test, I would just figure out, what level are you on? Level 1 is you have a 6 to 12 month emergency cash reserve. So real simple. Let's just start there. Level 1, how many people watching live, you can say, check. I have a 6 to 12 month emergency cash reserve set aside in an account, never touch it. It's there in case an emergency happens. And you have level 1 checked off. If you do, we'll go to level 2. Level 2 is you've safeguarded your future essential living expenses. What does that mean? You've invested enough money that you can nail down the date and time. Like you can do the math and you know exactly by when you no longer have to work, but you will have your essential daily living expenses covered. You've invested enough money that you know by when you'll have enough cash flow from your investments that'll cover your basic living expenses. If you have level 2 covered, meaning you either are already there, so you have enough cash flow from your investments that cover your lifestyle, or you can tell me the date and time by which that box will be checked. You're like, boom, I know the math. The math will be there within the next X amount of days, weeks, months, or years. Then you can say level 2 is checked off. So if you have level 2 check, just write level 2 check. So I know how many people are there. Level 3, you financed future discretionary living expenses. So we call this financial freedom. So financial security is when your investments cover your basic living expenses. Financial freedom is when your investments cover your fun. So not only can you cover the basics, but you can travel, go to the movies, buy clothes, have fun, and it's all covered from your investment income, what you've invested. How many have level 3 checked off? Level 4 makes me smile. You have enough income coming from your investments that allows you to support your family and your inner circle whenever necessary. And I was like, oh, I just found a personal challenge on here where I was like, what? I need to beef up this level. I've got the other levels checked, but I'm like, man, I want to get to a point where family or friends, something happens in their life. I'm like, yeah, no worries. Here you go. Don't even think about it. I got it. I was like, man, that's a great level. How many of you have level 4 checked off where you can support your family and inner circle without thought? Without thought. There's enough coming in from your investments. You can help a family or friend without even having to think about it. Level 5, impact social causes and community. You have enough coming in. This is one of our life dreams together, actually. You have enough coming in that you can donate regularly and consistently in a large way to social causes and community. One of the reasons we purchased our land in South Africa is it's on a wildlife reserve that helps preserve and care for lots of animals. It's 26,000 acres of also the plants. So it's a preservation of both animals and fauna. And I was like, how cool. That's one of our life dreams, is to be able to take care of animals, to be able to take care of Earth. Earth takes such great care of us. It'd be nice to give back a little and preserve some of it, to protect it. I was like, we could buy a piece of land and build a house here and help take care of a little piece of Earth. It's only 26,000 acres. It's not a lot, but it's enough that we can say, hey, we're helping to protect this little space on the planet and keep it safe. And so level 5, I think we're on, is the ability to do social causes and community. Are you there yet? Level 6, to pursue aspirational projects, to be able to have enough money coming in from your investments that you can throw it at an exciting idea. Knowing, 95% don't work out, but hey, I have enough that I can just throw it at it. And then finally, I'll just stop there. I'll just say there's 6 levels. There's 7 on here, but I'll say there's 6. So which level have you checked off? Have you checked off level 1, where you have your emergency cash reserves set aside for at least 6 months? Have you checked off level 2, where you've safeguarded, you have enough coming in from your investments that it covers your basic living expenses? Have you got level 3, where you have enough coming in from your investments that it covers your living expenses and fund money? Level 4, which gives you enough to cover all that, plus you can easily, without thought, take care of your family and inner circle. Or level 5, impact social causes and community. You have enough coming in that you can take care of, bigger social causes or community levels. Or level 6, where you can just throw money at fun ideas. Where are you at? And notice level 1 is saving. Level 2 through 6 is cash flow coming from your investments. What I've noticed, even with people who make over 7 figures a month, this weird thing happens. They haven't even thought about level 2 through 6. And I was like, are you crazy? You're making that much money and you haven't even thought of how you're going to invest it to create cash flow? That's insane. Holy Moses. Okay, my wife just let me know she has to go. If you enjoyed this, all I'd ask you to do, go to JerrickRobbins.com, click the product section, check out what we have. Hopefully it's supportive in a way wherever you're at right now. We have things as simple as $13 as far as books and programs, all the way up to our biggest intimate group settings. If you want to work with me one-on-one, just send me a direct message and say one-on-one coaching. I'd love to chat with you and see if it's a good fit. Have a great day, everyone. If you like these, make sure to like it and share it, and we will see you tomorrow for another one of these lives. Talk to y'all soon.